Chapter 37, Change. It's the only constant. For over 4 years, our church leadership teams had seen change, and more change. We would sometimes get lost in past ways of thinking that no longer fit the present reality. But we didn't know what to do that would make any significant difference. Visitors from out of town would often drop by our church and comment about how dynamic and powerful the church service was, but then ask in a confused manner, "Why isn't this place packed?" In my first 4 years, I think we went through 8 or more board members who just couldn't handle the responsibility and stress of trying to hold on and to fix a dying church whose best ministry was with dirt-poor people. Working among the walking dead of Zombieland was brutal on everyone. Only one member of the board made it through her whole 2-year term out of the second group of board members elected since I'd arrived. None of the first group survived through the apocalypse. During a discussion of a topic, one of our new board members was caught off guard by some of our reactions to an idea. We'd been there, tried that, failed again. I have to keep reminding myself that you guys were planning on closing just last year. This church doesn't feel at all like a dying church. I know, I've been in a church that closed, she exclaimed, in a manner like a person remembering the world outside our doors had radically changed. We couldn't apply old strategies to life and living. Our chairman spoke up saying, "Yeah, this is the healthiest, most vibrant, alive church I've ever been in. We're just broke, that's all." We're just broke, that's all. And that means change was always in the air. The future won't look like the present. It simply can't. But each week we ask ourselves, what is the most important thing to do today? What does Jesus want to happen in us, with us, and through us today? After all, no future is certain for anyone at any time. The only certain thing we can hold on to is faithfulness to Jesus in the moment we are in. That's all we have. This means being faithful to come to services with our hearts honestly praising God in worship. It means being faithful to pray with trust and hope on behalf of others, not just for ourselves. It means being faithful to honor and obey His word in our daily living, even if others around us don't. It means being faithful to build authentic relationships with each other that are honest, that inspire, and challenge us to be more than we already are. It means being faithful in any given moment to stand up for Jesus and tell His story of redemption and hope to lost, hurt, and confused people whom we encounter. It means being faithful to get dirty while serving other people and not look for personal praise or applause when doing it. It means being faithful to be generous with our money and our time for His kingdom's purposes. It means being faithful to not give up hope that all of this still matters to Jesus and to us. We're just broke, that's all. Which means our congregation can't collect enough on Sunday mornings to pay the bills. Knowing that, we always knew something had to change. We just couldn't ever grow by enough people to stabilize. It didn't really matter how good church services were or how often people would say, "I felt God's presence." Usually, that last comment came to us from our area visitors passing through town. Some of them literally drove by and stopped. Others found themselves staying at the hotel across the street, and still others were seeking out the local denominational affiliate in town while visiting relatives on vacation. Our church was one of 2 possible choices for that last group. The other church has since closed. For the first 2.5 years, we were always going to close in less than a year, if the trends continued, unless we did something dramatic and drastic to change directions. Oh, did we ever try? I remember being at a conference once with a group of pastors and being asked what my plan was for the church and for myself. "We'll just feed people and tell them about Jesus until we can't, I guess," was my only answer. It sounded weak, pathetic, and incompetent to my ears, even as I said it. But I was rather at my wit's end. I found myself getting kind of mad at God for showing up so mightily in services. It would have been easier to dump the whole thing and move on if Jesus would quit showing up. Around the same time that we were sending Dottie off to live with her son, and Jesus was having me use my trailer to help move a homeless lady I didn't like, Streetwise received a donation of $50 along with the following letter. I wanted to include a little note about this donation. Over Christmas, my daughter and my husband attended one of your services where a few people gave their stories about living on the streets. The subjects discussed led to some great conversations afterwards, but also really compelled her to want to do something to help people in our town. She has such a large heart. When I asked her if she wanted to give part of her Christmas money to our church or World Vision or something else, she decided that no, she'd rather send all of it to you guys to continue the ministry that you are doing there in Spokane. Just thought you'd like to know. Not only are you improving the lives of people in Spokane and showing kindness to those who need it most, you're also making a difference in our life. I'm excited to see what she does as she gets older to better the world. Thank you for being Jesus to your neighbors, and thank you for inspiring my little girl. Keep up the great ministry. You are making a huge difference. At the same time this letter was arriving in Spokane, I was at a conference in San Diego, where in an incredible coincidence, I met the husband and father in this story. He came to me beaming as he vigorously shook my hand and gushed the thank you to me over and over. Great, you're welcome, I said. Just exactly what did we do for you? When my daughter and I visited your church, your worship leader, Brian, spoke about his hard life during the sermon. And that homeless couple got up to give a testimony, the one you were sending to live in California with her son, he reminded me. Your service was so raw and authentic and the people so genuine. Some of the things said were not the kind of things we ever hear in our church from the platform. You guys are rather earthy, he finished, trying to find an appropriate description. Oh, sorry, I said. We don't really mean to be. It just kind of works out that way given the people we have coming. I didn't want to shock him too much by telling him we hear the F word a lot in church, and no, I don't mean forgiveness. No, he assured me. It was great. After church, my daughter and I went to lunch, and we got the chance to talk for hours about major life issues, families, marriages, all kinds of things that I have never had the opportunity to discuss with my daughter. It was groundbreaking for us. I'm so glad we visited you on that particular Sunday. He sighed with the relief of a man who got to have a major breakthrough with the child he had long wanted to speak with about deeper matters. My daughter was so taken by what she saw and heard that I think it helped her point her in a direction for her life. It was fantastic, he exclaimed. It changed her total outlook on life, and for Christmas this year, she got a lot of money for a kid and decided it was worth to give most of it away, rather than simply buy more junk for herself. I won't be surprised if she ends up a missionary one day. Really? I asked, and then I said, that's so great to hear how your perfectly timed visit ended up being so profound for you and your daughter. Would you do me a favor? Would you ask your daughter to write us a letter explaining her gift to us? At the time, I had no idea her mother had already done that, and that Tanya was reading her mom's letter at about the same time I was having this conversation with the father in San Diego. No problem, he responded. I'll ask her right away. Whenever we come to Spokane, you can bet we're going to be visiting your church. He beamed. Here's the letter. Dear members of First Covenant Church, I went to your church for the first time in late December while I was in Spokane visiting my grandparents. While I was there, I heard a few stories about people who trusted God no matter what happened to them. I thought about how selfish I was being for having all these things that I didn't even need while others barely had enough to survive. When I came to your church and saw how you worship God without the need of all the extra, quote, things, it made me think again about what God's love is all about. I thought, God doesn't care about our looks or if we're rich or poor. What he cares about is what we have to give. Once I realized this, I wanted to give him more than I usually do to charity, and I thought your church was a perfect place to start. I donated about 85% of my Christmas money to your church to help people who have less than I do. Thanks for all you do. Signed, Emmy, 10 years old.